All right. Hello, everyone.
We are live.
We are live and alive and glad to say it. How are you, Kirklan?
Say hi for the people.
Hi, people. Where are you posting that?
On my Insta stories.
Here, let me do that real quick. And if anybody out there is watching, if any of y'all are out there, say hello and go ahead and do what Kirklan just did. Following Kirklan is usually a very good move. And just share this let people know what's going on. Let the straight people in your life know what's up, so we can send them a DM straight to their soul.
Right.
All right, I'm gonna do that as well. Say hello to the people.
Hey, what's going on, people? Welcome to the faith community, the real talk, where we talk about real-ish.
Not fake-ish. We're not about that fake-ish here.
Not at all.
So how's your day been, Kirklan?
Pretty good. I went blueberry, blackberry, strawberry. No, not strawberry. Blueberry, blackberry picking today.
Really?
Yeah, and then I came home, had a really small sandwich, and then went to therapy, and then did a blog post, edited a video, and then now I'm here.
Dang, that's a day.
So I did with my dad, and then after this, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go with my friend, and we're gonna go find some bottles.
Oh, some bottles of holy water, right?
Mm-hmm. Some agave.
Some agave. The holy agave.
You agave. The puns
Agave.
don't.
Well, that sounds like a great day. I have been here at this house, and I have not left this house except to run, and have stared at the screen all day. So after this is over, I will throw my laptop out of the window, probably.
Oh.
Sorry, Tim Cook. It's going to happen.
Get back. No, don't. Oh, it's an apple. You definitely can't throw it out the window. I thought it was. You can toss it. Hey, Christian. Look who's in here.
Here, let me put that comment up. Yeah, now that the token straight of the faith community has arrived, we can we can start our conversation. So, Kirklan, what are we talking about today?
So today we're talking about, in our real talk, we are talking about dear straight people. Right? We got to exactly. Straight people. This is for you. Pull up a chair. It might get a little, so pull up your whiskey if you need it. And let's spew some education at the folks.
Okay. Pull up, drink your whiskey straight, because I know y'all can't be seen with the sugary drinks and such.
You notice I said whiskey and not a martini?
I did notice that.
Very deliberate in my gay agenda.
Right. And speaking of the gay agenda, Kirklan, that's kind of what we're talking about today, because one thing that straight people, of course, not all, not all straight people, but enough straight people say that there is some kind of gay agenda, and the place they say it happens is on the altar of the American home, the cradle that holds the Jesus of suburbia, as Green Day called it, the TV. And they say that the gay agenda is getting forced down their throats, which, first of all, you're giving yourself too much credit. Second of all, we would ask for consent. And third of all, what do you got to say about that? What do you got to say about this whole TV gay agenda thing?
I mean, first of all, I don't want to put anything down anyone's throat that we didn't discuss first. Let's get that straight, right?
Yes, no. Jesus said it, not me.
Exactly. And secondly, I don't understand why the concept of this gay agenda. I'm sorry. This is the faith community, and from what I've learned in my time of life, that if it seemed that gay people existed, in the Bible days too. So I would like to understand what is the agenda that we have. Just like, I have intersectionalities about myself. I'm a Black man.
Yes, you are.
That is Jamaican. So I have a few different intersections. And I want to see people that look like me on screen, represented in all of the gamuts. I think so. Just like how Black women want to be seen in more lead roles, because you want to see representation of yourself on screen. So why do you feel? So what if a white man came up to you, Black woman, and said, "You're pushing this Black woman agenda down my throat"? How would you feel? Right? You wouldn't feel good about that because you just want to be represented on screen, just like us all. Mm-hmm. So that part is like, I don't understand that concept. Then number two, I feel like people wanting to see themselves on TV is not a reflection that I am pushing something down your throat. All I'm doing is mirroring what real life looks like on a TV screen. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, especially for people who have more than one intersection, that should be understood off the bat to me. So yeah, I don't subscribe to the idea that there's some sort of agenda. I don't feel like we're agendaing anything.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, some people could view this where we have a gay Black man, a Jamaican gay Black man, U.S. American gay white man, representing a church, and some people might levy the critique that the faith community is like buying into the gay agenda or like is promoting the gay agenda. And then how would that sit with you if like somebody were to comment right now, like, this is just the gay agenda and they're trying to get that Gaga money or that Madonna money?
This is what I would say.
No words.
No, wait, I would say, so on Sunday when I'm playing on the organ, is that okay for you? That's okay for you?
Tell him.
On Sunday, when I come to sing for church, is that okay for you?
Tell him.
Oh, when I am the choir director, are you okay with that? Oh, you have a problem because I said it out loud and I'm in your face.
Oh, that might be. So it's almost like you would like us to do the work that you have, that you are less capable for, but not pay us what we deserve. Maybe it's like you want our rainbows, but not our rain. Maybe.
Exactly.
You want the Pride Festival, but you don't want pride in us. And what does that say about the pride you have for yourself?
None.
Right.
Because as we feel here, it is an environment where you're supposed to love God like you love yourself. Mm-hmm. And I feel like sometimes the representation of us, I really feel like the issue is that it's out loud. Mm-hmm. Because just like everything else, if we were locked up in corners, or where we only went to gay bars, and then we can segue into that. But like, if we only went to gay bars, we weren't trying to be represented on screen. We weren't trying to adopt children. We weren't trying to make sure that a job can't fire us because of our orientation. If we weren't trying to do any of these things, those straight people would be just fine.
Right.
It's because I said something, and I said it out loud, and I said it unapologetically, that somehow my comfortableness disrupts your spirit. Well, what does that say about your spirit? That's what I got to say.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because it's like, if there is a gay agenda, like I remember back when I was a more internalized homophobic person, there was like, I feel like there was a period in like the mid 2000s where like Neil Patrick Harris was coming out as gay, and Ellen got her show, and that was just like, oh my gosh, a lesbian in the daytime. Like, are they going to turn to sawdust?
She's shaking the table.
And it was just like, another celebrity trying to get attention. There's some agenda. When in fact, it's like, what that communicates is that like you said, Kirklan, like our existence is offensive to you and reality is offensive to you. Like it's how it's always been. Like if we think about what's natural, like homosexuality exists in the animal kingdom, of which we are a part. Transgenderism, transsexualism, the ability to change sex exists in nature, of which we are a part. But if you look at nature, like there's no straight lines out there. There's no straightness out there. There's no church out there. There's no Bible out there. There's no scripture out there. So if there's any agenda, it's the straight agenda to make reality smaller and work in 90-degree angles, which is just constructed and false. So it's like we are exposing to you that your need for reality to be so small, it's like only if we're shoving things down your throat, it's only a closed throat that can choke on things. So like you might open your throat a bit and stop choking, because that's not our fault.
Spirit. A closed throat and choke on things.
Exactly. And sometimes if you choke on things, it's because you're talking while you're trying to eat. So maybe just like quiet down a bit. Take a seat. Sit down in your Dockers and your New Balance sneakers. Wipe the green grass stains off and just listen for a bit.
Not your New Balances though.
You don't need a New Balance. You need a new worldview.
I swear the puns are so good with you.
Well, thank you.
It just comes so naturally. Is that a part of your game?
It is actually, according to Holy Smokes, that is what the agenda is: supporting each other.
I think.
No, go ahead.
No, I definitely feel like I'm not as punny as you, but like
you're saying good stuff though.
Yeah, everything you're saying is exactly it. Like, open your mind. And I heard a quote once. I don't know who said it. I wish I could remember, but she said that she was unwilling to work on a film if the cast did not look like the world outside those studio doors.
That was I forget the actress's name, but she plays Meredith Grey on Grey's Anatomy.
Yes, Ellen Pompeo.
Yeah. Yes, white woman, by the way.
Exactly. So my thing is, in the same spectrum, TV should look like the world outside of television.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone should see themselves represented. And you know, the thing that kills me every time that I watch, it doesn't kill me, but it kind of really alarms me, is like every time there's some show that has a gay couple or a gay character,
right?
I feel like there's a group of people who, I think, I don't remember their name, but there's like a group of people that always rally together to try to get the show canceled. And that brings me to my point. So my new favorite show just got canceled. And I keep asking myself, why did that happen? Have you heard of the Council of Dads?
What was it? Sorry?
The Council of Dads. Okay, so NBC had a new show that just came out. And it was a one-season show because it's not returning. And the premise of the show is there's a father who is dying of cancer, and he doesn't want his children to go without a father figure. So he assembles a council of dads to raise his children. And of course, one of the dads is gay. Not only that, but he has a transgender son. And it follows the lives of these people very closely. And I always have to wonder in the back of my mind, did this show get canceled because the powers that be either felt it was too racy? Because first of all, there's so many things that I feel like I could be wrong, but I learned that I think this is the first time on what's NBC considered? Like, not national, but like
cable.
It's some type of TV. It's not cable. It's like prime time. That's
yeah.
Yeah, so it's the first time that on a primetime show you have um, uh, two black gay fathers.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I hear the first something, especially like if it's the first gay or the first black, I always think to myself, we still have firsts? Like, shouldn't we all just be doing things at this point? But like, it blows my mind that there is still a first to something. Hey, Ralphie.
Right.
It blows my mind that there is a first to something. Like, how?
Right. It took y'all this long? Right. And if we want to talk about like agendas and representation, like it growing up, not seeing your own capacity to love represented means that it might as well not be real, but you feel it within your body, but you don't see it out in the world. And so it just like makes you feel like you're not real. Like what you're experiencing is something wrong or something unnatural. But it's not only an absence. What's filling that void is just like all of these different representations of different kinds of straight couples, healthy straight couples, toxic straight couples, interracial, one race, non-white, all of these things. And so we grow up thinking that like, because that's all we see, then that is what is supposed to be. It is normal. It is normative. It is hetero, same or different, different normative. And so if that's normal and what is supposed to be, then we're abnormal and we're supposed to not be. and so it's like, and then we think about like gender reveal parties. Like that's not a gender reveal party. That's a gender imposition party. Because that child's not going to know their gender until they're like 4, 5, 6, maybe even later. But we're telling them this is what you have to be, regardless of how you feel yourself to be or your consent to it. So there is an agenda revealed from the moment a child is born to fit into and like we start sexualizing children. Like we have like straight people tend to have like these like little onesies for boys, ladies man or future lady kid.
Yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Let's get into that shit. Let me tell you. That's the one. That's the one thing that gets me is that every time they say there's a gender, I do think of that. I do think of the fact that how if a little boy comes home and says that he likes 2 girls, and automatically his dad and his mom is like, "Oh, you got 2 girlfriends? You a little player."
Right.
What exactly do you think you're teaching this child by way of this behavior?
Right.
Because those men tend to grow up to be slightly chauvinistic and misogynistic. You know, I'm gay. What do I know? I just bake biscuits.
Right. It's like somehow our existence is more of an affront than like just us being, not even doing anything. That's another thing that people tend to have a problem with, but like not even doing anything, just being is a problem. But then when straight men, straight women, mostly straight men, like do terrible things, they get voted into office. They get like, it's almost like, oh, you are accused of literally raping children. Oh, that's fine. But Pete Buttigieg, he kissed the first NFL player to come out as openly gay, who had the audacity to kiss his boyfriend on screen. People were like, "Oh, well, that's just too much. Like you can be gay, but we don't want to see it." And then it's like Donald Trump
in my face.
Yeah. But then like Roy Moore in Alabama has tons of people who are accusing him of sexual assault. You have Donald Trump, who probably, maybe not probably, like is a pedophile, and people are like, oh no, that's our guy. Like at least it's like, at least it's not like gay stuff, right? And I did like, and how is that supposed to make us feel for like being and doing better at the thing you created, which is like the way love is supposed to work in this society. Like, we're better at it in many cases, not all cases, obviously. But and it's just like, how's that supposed to make us feel?
I don't understand at all. Like how you know.
Hi, Marielle.
Hey, Marielle. I wonder sometimes if people understand the psychology of how that works. If you teach me that something's wrong with me, I'm going to operate like something's wrong with me.
Say it.
Therefore, I'm going to, and this doesn't apply to everyone. I want to make sure it's not a blanket statement, but I feel like what I find in my journey is that usually when we go out and we have lots of unprotected sex, because we feel like our lives aren't valued. I feel like I learned that a lot of times that's where that comes from. We go out, whether it's unprotected or protected, I feel like we go out and have tons of sex because we feel like our lives aren't valued. Like they have no real value attached to them. We are worthless.
And then it's that very behavior that straight people instituted in us. They injected us with the poison and then blamed us for reacting to the poison.
Right.
Like, you're nothing, you're worthless, you're just you're a demon, you're abomination. And then when we go out and act like you said, like act in those ways, it's like, what flower do you expect to like bloom out of rotten soil?
Planted what?
And then they're like, oh, but they're so promiscuous, they're like ruining families. They're like, no, you ruined the family. The minute that you decided to love your idol of straightness more than your son or daughter or non-gender binary child, the minute you decided to love an idol more than them, you ruined the family.
How about the minute your child comes out to you and your first reaction is to beat them or throw them on the streets? You ruined them.
That's on you. It's nothing we did. We just said, it's like it's raining outside. And then we pointed out like, hey, it's raining outside. And they're like, no, I prefer sunshine. It's the same thing. It's a reality that's already happening. That is natural. And then we just invite you to look at that reality. And then they're like, no, I prefer this kind of person. Yeah, or Josh, yeah, or threaten to kill, or maybe actually kill. Maybe not directly, but at some point, spiritually.
And that one I can speak to directly. I definitely dealt with that growing up. That's why I talked about the intersectionality. I'm Jamaican. My mother and my father are very Jamaican, and one of the things that our music, is sad to say, but our music sets the tone for a lot of hatred towards gays in my culture. So you grow up hearing that you're gonna die. You need to be cleansed. I'm giving you the American versions because the Jamaican versions are very strong. But you're gonna die. You need to be cleansed. I never found growing up that there were that anyone was trying to change you in any way. I very much found that if you're found to be gay, then it's like immediate death. And I will say, learning the American culture of how they deal with gays, it's not. I'm not saying it's better, but there's a strong level of attempting to reform something that they feel is wrong. A person in my culture, once you're found to be gay, you die. Like, your death is what's upon you. And I find learning, especially, in the faith community, I've learned, people will try to pray the gay away, or they might try to take you to one of those psychotherapy things or
conversion therapy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I find that even though it's very toxic in the American culture, there's still some level of like, you can be reformed. And I those are some of the differences that I've learned over the years, that there is that level. But I can definitely speak to that, man. I've definitely been threatened by my parent.
Really?
So yeah.
And does that make you feel loved? Does that make you feel like the love of Jesus?
God ain't nowhere in those statements. That's the first thing I want to say when people say
Yeah.
things. God is nowhere in this statement, but you claim to be a Christian.
Right.
Huh? They love to reform people. I mean, that's like that series we had where it was like being saved from what?
Mm.
What exactly am I being saved from?
Yeah.
What exactly am I? That's always my question. What exactly am I? You know what, Mario? You are correct. Heterosexuals do set the blueprint for being promiscuous. That is absolutely correct, actually, because it does. It really does. Like thinking about it, it really does. But yeah, those were like definitely some of my growing up childhood experiences. Like, being in a place where you don't feel any love, you don't feel any of this. And the interesting part is that growing up, there wasn't a lot of church in my life. Well, that was on purpose at one point. But at the beginning of my life, there was church involved, and I remember to this day very strongly. I asked my grandma, like, I asked her a question about something the pastor had said. And in my mind, I want to say that the question might have been around, like, maybe where was Steve? I want to say that might have been, and I'm not 100% on the question, but I remember asking a question, and I remember her vividly telling me, you do not question the pastor. Whatever the pastor goes. I remember hearing that. And immediately I thought to myself, well, I'm too inquisitive for this. So if I can't ask the pastor questions, this is probably somewhere I don't need to go.
Wow.
What I didn't know was that 20 years later, what I was doing was saving myself from a life filled with another level of hell that I didn't need to add on top of the hell I was already in at my own house.
Ooh.
So heterosexual people have done a lot of bad things to me, and I haven't done any of those things to people. So who's the bad guy now?
You're really the bad guy. Duh.
Like, for real.
Yeah.
So some of the things.
Well, thank you for sharing all of that, Kirklan. I know when you and I talked about what we would talk about, we didn't necessarily discuss like delving into our personal narrative. So I really appreciate you, letting us in and being vulnerable and sharing those difficult things.
Oh, listen, I'm at the point in my life where I feel like I just want a little boy to hear my story and be saved. I just want him to hear me speak. I want him to see me and know that whatever you are going through is only temporary because you are not 18 and you cannot fend for yourself.
Right.
And as soon as you get the opportunity to do so, you can run as far as you'd like and build your own life that is far derived from what your parents taught you, what they feel, what they think, and that's all. That's all I want you to know.
Well, that's beautiful, and I think
a Black gay character on TV would have been very helpful for me.
Seeing a white gay character who wasn't like super stereotypical, right?
Listen, I agree.
Yeah,
I mean, represented on screen in general would have definitely saved me a lot of years of heartache, because it would have made some sort of normalization for me. Like, oh, other people live and they thrive in their gayness. Like, gayness for me was always surrounded by hurt and pain and like, you're not good enough and you're not worth living and the breath you take is on borrowed time because you vanished to lands far away.
The elephant graveyard. The Shadowlands.
And I really like. Sometimes I wanted to ask, like, do y'all know I'm 11? Like, what is it that I did?
Right. I woke up today. I woke up like this. That's it.
I woke up like this.
Like,
that was literally all I did.
Right. Yeah. And I just want to give a little voice to, Josh, for sure. Agreed. I don't want another queer kid to nearly commit suicide because of who they discover they are. Absolutely. Or even die by suicide. Not even nearly. Both. But a lot of people, too many, go through with it. And then Marielle, reform definitely is a symptom of whiteness. Oh, we don't have time for that. That's a whole other conversation about how ultimately this is, as most things are, is Europe's fault.
It feels like every time we talk about something, I feel like we go back to the origins of America, which go back to Europe.
Yeah, every time. Because like the fact that we're having to say to like, and again, we don't have time for this conversation, but the fact that like we are having to say like we are two gay people, gay black man, gay Jamaican man, gay white man, like we are representing a church, and this is controversial. Like, dear straight people, like even the fact that this is happening is the result of like overly Christianized, greedy, barbaric European people back in like the 1600s. Like, y'all made the rules and then stopped playing the game. And I'm tired. Like, it's 2020. I don't want to still be dealing with the stuff that some like power hungry, probably gay, but not willing to admit it, European men did because they wanted some spices and some rubber.
Right? Wow.
Like, but that's what we got to do, because they were like, oh, well, Africa isn't good as it is, so we got to change that. We got to, oh, they don't have clothes on. We got to change that. Oh, they might be having sex with each other. What's a verse in the Bible that we can use to make them more subservient and less human so we can take more of their diamonds? Oh, this one? Okay, let's do that. And we're still dealing with it.
And I feel like I want to leave the people with this, because this is a line I feel like applies across the board.
Well, we still got some time, Kirkland. So if you want to save it to the very, very end.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to like 8:15. So we'll put a pin in it, and then we can leave on the note that you were about to share.
If our theology makes people think God hates them and the only way out is death, we have to throw the whole death. Marielle, I'm with you. I'm with you, girl. Throw the hoe away. Throw it away. Throw it away.
Like when the garbage starts to stink, you throw it in the trash. And then you take the trash out to the curb, and then they pick it up, and then they burn it. So this theology's been stinking for a while. It's about time that Waste Management comes out and does something about it.
You know what? I think Waste Management broke because they ain't come by in a few hundred years.
They've got a 400-year hiatus. They've got the blue flu too. Whatever the police officers have got, they got it too.
They got something, because it stinks. And it stinks really bad. And, you know, every time you read a story of a little kid, you just always it's like you're always reminded that somebody believes that they're less than for just waking up today.
Right.
No other reason. No other apparent reason. Because you woke up today, you're less than.
Mm-hmm. It's like, I've been thinking about how, like, and we talk about all the time here at the Faith Community, the greatest commandment theology, which of course is based on what Jesus said to the lawyer who said, how can I inherit eternal life? And he says, love your Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, and you love your neighbor as yourself. So we say that to love yourself is the way that you love your neighbor, and how you love your neighbor is evidence of how you love God. And you can't love God any way except through loving your neighbor. We've talked about that all the time. And that's because we all have the image of God on us, right? Or in us. We're all made in the image of God. And so that one means that any way that God is represented in humanity, not so much by the choices we make, but just like how God chose to make us, then we are an image of God. We are reflective of God. And so God is gay, God is queer, God is bi, because humans can be those things and are those things. God is black, God is brown, God is all of these things, and God is white too. Not only white, that's the problem, but God has European, just like fair skin too. And I don't know how God manages it being so close to the sun. Must have some really good sunscreen, but God does have that aspect about God's self. And so that's one thing. So like, you're essentially saying that like, you know better than God how humanity should be. God's like, I made this person able to love in different ways. And then you're like, you're wrong, God. No, this is the only way humanity can love. We know better than you. And then the second thing.
Did y'all hear that? Like you're telling God, no, that's not the way it's supposed to go. I know better. Like, I digress.
It's like when Jesus would tell people he's the Messiah, and then they're like, no, because Messiahs are supposed to be this way. Oh yeah, they did do that, and then they strung him up on a cross and killed him. Because they're like, no, the Messiah needs to look like, act like, do like, be like, and fight like this. And when he didn't do that, then they killed him. And so when LGBTQ people are like, I love this way, they're like, no, humans are supposed to love like this. And if you don't do that, then we'll kick you out or kill you or et cetera, et cetera. So that's one thing. But then the second thing is the image of God is what entitles us to being loved as we are. And so that is like the image of God said, or God's love says, I love you because you exist. And then any oppressive ideology says, I hate you because you exist. It's a complete inversion of Christianity. It's a complete inversion of God. So like homophobia is ungodly because it is the antithesis, the exact opposite of what God tells us we are. The reality that God made isn't working out for me, so I'm going to create a new reality and then kill people for it. Is essentially what happens. And then when I see it on screen, yeah, Marielle, because we try to create God in our likeness instead of being in the likeness of God.
And that's it right there.
That's it.
God. You guys are so good at this. I feel like I should go to McAfee like y'all.
Hey, come on down. Is God created humans in God's image, and humans have been returning the favor ever since. That's right.
Wow.
So since we have about 7 minutes left, I do want to make sure you get that final word. But I think because this conversation did center on like representation and why that's so important, maybe you and I could each share like one or two shows, movies, books, whatever, where we have like, this is our favorite representation. This is our favorite gay character or whatever.
Okay.
So you go, I'll go, and then we'll let you have the last word.
So, of course, it's canceled, and I talked about it earlier, but that is my... I can't say it's my favorite because my next show is about to be my favorite. I can have more than one favorite, right?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so Council of Dads is one of my favorite shows because the experience that is being displayed on screen runs the entire gamut to me. Okay, so there is a woman, a husband. Well, yeah, there's a woman, a husband, a mixed child,
the trans daughter.
The trans. Well, yes, she's transitioning to a he.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So he, the trans little boy. Then you have 2 other children. So I feel like you cover the gamut of the different intersectionalities. Oh, I'm sorry. One of the kids is Chinese.
Okay.
I feel like you cover the gamut. like the only thing that would have made that utopia any more perfect is if the other child was Hispanic, and it would just be like.
And if we got some disabled people in
literally, yeah, put together like the dream team of
right.
what we feel like represents the current face of what the world looks like. Of course, there's other cities, but that would have been, like all encompassing or almost all encompassing.
A pretty good sampling, yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty good start. Let's start there. Council of Dads is a great start of what a TV show should look like. You could always go further, but it's a great example of where TV shows should start, especially when you have a family that is being represented by, represented that way. So you have that. Then I have to say, Pose.
I was gonna say it, so I'm glad you did.
Because, there's never been a TV show that has been written, produced, wrote, starring people of the LGBTQIA plus experience. Where have we ever seen this?
Right, and so many of them are trans. All of them basically are people of color.
Oh, I didn't realize that part. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
I just love that show.
Me too.
Such an almost accurate representation of the ballroom scene.
Yeah.
I love it. And then when you take the ballroom scene out of it, it's just some damn good acting.
Yes. Like Billy Porter. I mean.
Ooh, pray tell. Kill that.
Pray tell. Oh. But it's also like I, started watching Pose. Partially,
I remember you started watching it late.
I did, yes, and I still need to watch season 2. And I started watching it kind of out of
not seen season 2.
It's a lot. It's a lot of emotion.
Get off this live and go watch it now.
Well, we're about to, because I'm gonna say my 2, and then you can say your last word. But yeah, Pose. 10 out of 10. I love it so much. It just takes a lot. Like whenever the flip side of representation is like, for me at least, when I see LGBTQ stories portrayed, I get so emotionally invested in it that it's hard for me to watch casually. So like the show Sex Education, which is wonderful, has I think Nigerian, I may be wrong, but Nigerian Sex Education on Netflix.
I need to watch that.
Is really good. One of the main characters, yeah, it's on Netflix. One of the main characters they're in the UK. I think they're in Wales. So he's Welsh, but his family is from, I think, Nigeria. So it deals a lot with some of the experiences you were talking about, coming from a formerly or currently colonized country, dealing with all of the different expectations, the vestiges of colonialism.
Let me just go again. Let me go look this up.
Sex Education. But that character, it's hard for me to watch sometimes because I'm so emotionally invested in it and so affected by it. So that's why Pose is sometimes hard for me to watch, because I feel so strongly for it that I can't just sit down and be like, I'm gonna watch Pose today. I'm like, I got the tissues, I got the wine, I got the entire night blocked out. Now I can watch Pose.
Okay. I see your perspective, and I'm with you on that. I don't watch Pose with anyone else.
Right, same. Because I'm going to be screaming at the TV. I'm going to be crying.
I'm going to be crying. Mostly, I'm going to be crying, and I don't even care. I'm going to cry.
That's right. So my 2 real quick, and then we'll let you wrap up. My favorite movie of all time is Moonlight. And that, of course, is the 2016 Best Picture winner. Directed by Barry Jenkins, about a gay black man growing up in Liberty City, Miami. So growing up in poverty. Favorite movie of all time. And then my favorite movie-going experience of all time was Love, Simon.
You didn't say movies. I would have said Moonlight.
Oh, well, we went back and forth.
I love that movie.
Me too. And then Love, Simon was my favorite movie-going experience, because it's so good.
There's a TV show about it now. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm. Love, Victor, I think it's called.
Yes, and I'm gonna watch it because I've got nothing else to watch on TV, so I'm gonna watch it now.
But yeah, Love, Simon. Like whenever the people, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but whenever people kiss at various points, the audience, like both times I saw it, spontaneously clapped and like applauded and cheered and all of those things. And so just to see people get so invested in real time in this teen gay love story was beautiful. One of my favorite memories. So two that come to mind for me are Moonlight, Love, Simon, and then of course Pose. But yeah, those are some representation that has been very impactful to me. But we're almost out of time. So Kirklan, what's the word you want to leave the people with?
So this is a quote from The Color Purple. Till you do right by me, and shit gonna go right. That's it.
Can you say that one more time?
You do right by me, and shit gonna go right.
I love it. Well, we have been Kirklan and Grayson talking about Dear Straight People. This has been Real Talk every week, Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. And if you look down below at the banner, we have ways to give right here.
Yes.
Right here. Right. You can do Givelify. Or you can do the Faith Community. Or you can do hashtag TFC ATL. If you see like what you see, yeah, and want to support it, please do. We need every dollar counts, and you count too. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Kirklan, for talking with us today.
I'm excited you guys had me on today. I'd be like, I feel important. That is small. That is important.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good one, y'all.